Shabbat Shalom to everyone here on campus and watching at home. We're going to start with the Hanukkah song. Ma'osur Yeshuati Lechana El Lishabeach Tikon Beit Tefilati Vesham Todah Nezabeach Le'etz Tachin Matbeach Mitzar Hamnabeach Az Egmor Beshir Mizmor Chanukat HaMizbeach Az Egmor Beshir Mizmor Chanukat HaMizbeach Rock of Ages, let our song praise your saving power. You amid the raging foes were our sheltering power. Furious they assailed us, but your arm availed us, and your word broke their sword when our own strength failed us, and your word broke their sword when our own strength failed us.
Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. Welcome if you are joining us here on our Bel Air campus or if you're joining us from home for this last Shabbat of 2024. And when we next gather for Shabbat, it will be on the other side in 2025. And I will say that time and again, when I turn to Hanukkah and its teachings, I am drawn each and every time to the light. And so I wanted to share a teaching from a teacher named S. Bear Bergman, who's a modern teacher of our time, and he writes a lot about parenting, but in this case, he wrote about light, and he said, look for it in the wintertime if you want to find the light of the season, the real light, not the Hallmark one. He said, look for the darkness in which you can be a spark. Look for the opportunity to be bright, to light someone else's way, to warm their hands, to shuttle them safely through the dark. Look for the crack you can fill, the shadow you can dispel by bringing a little bit of the light, carefully and tenderly, to just the place where it's needed. Look for the place of being bright and present outside your own house or in the window on the opposite sides of the mezuzah, letting anyone who passes know. Because each and every year, maybe especially this year, but maybe especially every year, it's an act of courage and an act of faith to bring light into the darkness, and it's an act of hope, and all of us can use a little bit of that. And so to help us with kindling light and kindling hope, we have Asher, who's going to become bar mitzvah tomorrow morning, who's going to help us. We're going to kindle both. We're going to start with the lights of the Chanukiah and then turn to the candle blessing. So we'll invite you guys to come up and be ready. We do Hanukkah first and then Shabbat.
Berkman family, come on up, all of you. We'll gather around the
And the Hanukkah blessings are on page 279.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddashanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Hanukkah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Osim lavoteinu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh.
And the tradition says, by the way, you light the Hanukkah candles first because you can't light them once Shabbat begins, but also that the Hanukkah candles can't be used for anything except enjoying them. You can't read by them. You can't sew by them. To those of you who asked, I did not make my dress. I don't make things. You can't play dreidel by them. You can only look and enjoy their light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddashanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
So feel free to be seated. We continue with the Psalms, page 13.
Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. I will sing unto God a new song.
Lecha Dodi is on page 20.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad. Hishmianu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shemo tiferet v'letila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha. Ki hi mekor ha'bracha. Merosh mikedem nesucha. Sof ma'aseh b'machashava techila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Oi v'shalom ateret bala. גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Closing words from Psalm 92, the word Sadiq Katamar.
Sadiq Katamar Yifrach Kerez Balvanon Shetulim beveit Adonai vechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvun meseva deshenim merananim yehu lechagim ki ashar Adonai suri suri velo
We continue with our call to prayer. Baruch Hu is on page 28.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la.
We continue thanking God for the love that we are offered. We are on page 32, Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta. Torah mitzvot ukimu mishpatim otanu limadeta otanu limadeta al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochveinu uvkumenu na'asiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei toratecha uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem nege yomam v'layla nege yomam v'layla Chavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch ata Adonai ohev amo Yisrael ohev amo Israel. I'd like to invite up our bar mitzvah boy of the weekend, Asher Berkman, to come up and help me with the Shema and Ve'ahavta.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol me'odecha ve'hayu hadavarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ve'shivnantam levanecha ve'dibarta bam ve'shivtecha bevitecha uvlechtecha vaderech uvshochbecha uvkumecha uvshartam leod al yadecha ve'hayu letotafot beineinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha Leman tiskeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem
Adonai Elohechem emet Yasher Koach. And I want to point out that Asher and his family came all the way down from Oregon. So everyone watching online, you don't want to brave the 405, look at this family. They came all the way down from Oregon, so you have no excuse.
Yasher Koach, thank you. As we continue with Chamocha, one of the things that I love about Chamocha is that you can find a way to make it applicable to any holiday we're celebrating. It's pretty easy, even though it was not necessarily written with that intent. And so if you look at the first four words of Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, the first letter of each of those words spells out Maccabee. And I think about that often, not just during Hanukkah, but when I'm singing Chamocha and I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, there are these people, the Maccabees, who once upon a time fought for our freedom, just as once upon a time the Israelites escaped from Egypt with God's hand and outstretched arm. And so too do we continue to fight for our own freedom to pray and be Jewish today. So we sing Chamocha on page 40.
Who is like you? Adonai. Who is like you?
Continue with that energy as we channel that energy into our prayer for shelter and peace. Our Hashiveinu is on page 42.
Understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashiveinu, Hashiveinu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hashiveinu, Amidenu, Shomreinu lechayim, Ufros aleinu, Sukat shlomecha, Hashiveinu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hashiveinu leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
One of the lessons maybe of Hanukkah is a little bit of patience, and certainly that extra bit of hope, right? That each day, I imagine that each day the Maccabees went in and saw that light still flickering, right? That sense of like, maybe we'll make it that next day, and maybe we'll make it that next day, and maybe the hope grows. But with it, you also have to have that additional patience. And as we turn to Mishaberach L'Cholim, a prayer for those in need of healing, I think those moments in our own lives, in those of our family and our community, those moments of illness and of disease also are a reminder, right, that you have to sometimes have patience and always carry a little bit of hope that the little bit of flame might grow and grow and grow back to strength. And so we turn to those words, and if you're joining us at home and want to share someone that you are praying for, that you're holding in your heart this Shabbat, and if you're here and holding someone, we'll invite you to sort of shine that name forward as we turn to Mishaberach L'Cholim.
Berach Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov. Mi sheberach Imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Bless us with the vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain. May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us faith, show us the way. Mi sheberach Avoteinu, Mi sheberach Imotenu. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer. Hear our prayer and bless us as well.
As we turn now to the words of the Amida, I'm going to invite you to do two things. I'm going to invite you to take in a breath and let it out also, so I guess three things. And then I'm going to invite you, as you are able, to stand, and so please rise as you can. And these blessings in the evening are offered silently, so we'll invite you to turn either to the words of the prayer book that go from pages 48 to 62, or the words of your own heart, and whichever you choose, or some combination thereof. As you finish your own prayers, your own moment, we invite you to be seated.
a song written by Stephen Schwartz, the composer of Wicked. A lamp that kept on burning, a miracle they say, but the world has kept on turning. Are there miracles today? Everyone who lights the candles has a bit of ancient spark. We are miracles lighting up the dark. We are lights, lights of memory, remembering times long gone. We are glowing, growing miracles. We are lights, we are lights, we are lights, shining on and on. A row of burning candles shines light upon your face, linking you and me and all of us to a far-off holy place. But the blazing of the candles is not the only light. Look at all of us gathered here tonight. We are lights, lights of memory, remembering times long gone. We are glowing, growing miracles. We are lights, we are lights, we are lights, shining on. We are lights, shining on. We are lights, shining on and on. Very nice.
There is so much good Hanukkah music. When I was a kid, we had dreidel, dreidel, dreidel. We didn't even have the Raffi version where dreidels are made of all kinds of different things. Now you can get a many Spotify song lists. My wife did a workout on Peloton with Hanukkah songs. I mean, what a world we live in. So the other day, I was doing some maintenance in my son and his wife's new home. And I was using a portable light, an LED light with a big honking battery. And as I'm with my head in the cabinet, the light flickers out and I'm stuck in a cabinet in the dark. And I cursed the inconvenience of that light that had the audacity to fizzle out while I needed it. Now, that light, that handheld light that was standing up in the cabinet, was the culmination of thousands of years of human ingenuity. And I dismissed it with a wave of my hand because it wasn't working when I needed it to. We're deep into the celebration of Hanukkah. We've referenced lights throughout our service. Chag HaOrim, in Hebrew, the Festival of Lights. So tonight, I want to explore what I think is a fascinating history of humanity's relationship with light. We take it for granted. It's as easy for us as a flick of a finger, a little switch turns a light on. But really only, about a few hundred years ago, light was actually revered as a sacred emanation from God. Just a few hundred years ago. And less than 200 years ago, 1880, Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. Now, he thought he was just giving human beings light, convenience of light. But what he didn't realize was that he was changing our entire relationship with light as a concept. He changed the way we see the world. Now, we who've only known on-demand brilliant light have no idea what it was like. It's hard for us to imagine what it would have been like to live in a world where the only lights we had were the flickering lights of a candle, of a fireplace, of an oil lamp. Could you imagine what it would be like to gather in here in the evening, the dark days of winter, with those flickering lights? Shadows would be cast on the walls, and they'd move with the flickering of the candle. We're used to steady light that keeps shadows solid unless we move. But in the world before electric lights, light was always flickering. Think about a fireplace as the only light in the room. Your eyes would strain. What was it like to read a book next to a flickering firelight? What was it like to return home? You're going to return home, chances are your lights are going on automatically, your garage light goes on when the door opens, movement turns on lights. Only 200 years ago, people would go home to a pitch black house, and tonight especially, there'd only be a sliver of moon lighting the sky. Even today, even with our modern knowledge, light is truly mystifying. From X-rays to infrared, they're all forms of light waves. Most light radiation actually is invisible to the human eye, and we just take that knowledge for granted. Nothing can travel faster than light, and upon reaching the speed of light, time actually slows down. Wrap your head around that if you can. Does anyone actually understand how your TV or your computer screen light up? How they work? I mean, sure, you may get the science, but could you make it at home? No. So the first paragraph of Genesis actually reveals to us the way the ancient world understood light. Now listen carefully. It begins with the Hebrew, Bereshit bara Elohim. When God began to create heaven and earth, God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness was called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, a first day. That's the first paragraph of Genesis. There's a problem that we recognize with that first paragraph in the order of creation. Sun and moon and stars weren't created until the fourth day. So in the mind of the ancients, light existed before the sources of light existed. God could speak light into existence as they understood it. So to understand light from their perspective was to understand something about God's essential nature. And to see light refracted through stained glass windows in churches or lenses or crystals in those days, polished crystal, was actually to channel that sacred essence of God. A few weeks ago, a group of us from the temple, went to the Getty and went to the exhibit called Lumen. Now, I was so enthralled, I bought the book, and you see the cover of the book has the colors of the prism. And believe it or not, and you can tell by the way I'm going to geek out as I get into this, I actually read this cover to cover. I really did. Didn't miss a word. And looked at all the pictures, too. So it was called Lumen, the art and science of light from 800 to 1600 CE. In antiquity, light was truly mysterious. Light, as I said, was sacred. It was enigmatic. Where did it come from? It had power, even power beyond what we associate with light. And as I said, it was not a reflection of the divine. It was sourced by the divine. And we still carry it forward in our own lexicon, the way it's manifest in words we use. We sang the song, we just took for granted the references to light, and they resonate for us. Light, we talk about light as illuminating a problem. A light bulb goes off over our head when we get an idea. Now, of course, we need Edison to get the light bulb to go off, but you get the point of light connected to thought. We shed light on a topic. Those metaphors work for us because they come out of an ancient understanding of what light meant for human beings. And darkness then, and that's why that first paragraph of Genesis separates darkness and light, darkness then is more than the absence of light in the mind of the ancients. Darkness was the very negation of truth and wisdom. Darkness was the negation of God. To obscure a truth, coming from the Latin obscurus, Latin for darkness, was to cover up that truth with some veil that kept that truth from being revealed. When traditional Christianity calls Satan the prince of darkness, it was about more than being in a place where there was no light. It was about being separated from God's light. And so on and so on and so on. Have fun. Google different interpretations or meanings of light, and you'll see all the countless hits that you get. So for centuries then, given this understanding of light, churches were designed so that the play of light from the flickering candles at night or the radiant sunlight by day would evoke a sense of reverence and awe in the worshiper's, not just imagination, but really deep within the worshiper's heart. Paintings incorporated halos around sacred figures because light reflected or light represented God's presence. You can look at medieval paintings and see light beams coming from God to the subjects, whether it was Mary or Jesus or the saints. It didn't just symbolize their connection or their sacredness. It symbolized the means through which God actually touched those individuals. It was the way that God reached out to humanity. So then you go to a church, you look at stained glass windows, and you say, wasn't that beautiful art? You think about the artists that created it. But it was more than just visual art for the medieval churchgoer. The refraction of light was a mystery. The luminosity of the colors was mysterious, illuminated, shining through the church onto the structures below, whether it was the faces of the worshipers or the floor or the seats. Those colors that somehow made it from the window onto the floor, it was a mysterious occurrence. They didn't understand how it happened. In antiquity, Islamic scientists translated Plato and Aristotle's treatises into Arabic, and then from there into Latin. They were accessible to Jews and to Christians through the translations of these Arabic philosophers. And Jews found, and Christians found, medieval descriptions of light, the understanding of how light was refracted through crystals and through water. And all those ideas drew then those ideas of Plato and Aristotle into the thinking of the religions as they were evolving during the medieval era. Inspired the thought of such greats, such Jewish greats as Maimonides, the Muslim philosopher Avicenna, and Thomas Aquinas, the great Christian contemporary of Maimonides. They even debated how we see. Some argued that light or something was projected from our eyes, kind of like Superman's X-ray vision or a Marvel character's X-ray vision, and it was then lit up the object, and that's how we were able to see it. Others said, no, light comes into our eyes, and that's how we see what's out there. Our eyes then became magical receivers or transceivers, not just windows into the soul, but somehow able to utilize that divine light to our benefit. Why is there so much gold in religious art? Why, when you walk into a church, is it gilded? Is the altar gilded? Why was there a golden menorah in the temple? Because gold was seen as being a mysterious substance that was able to capture the light and hold on to it and reflect it back. Light was forged then, gold was forged because of its association with the sacred light. So from the temple menorah to the symbolic objects in a church, I was in a beautiful church in Oaxaca recently, the entire ceiling was gilded and the light flickered off the gold gild in the ceiling. Even references to gold in literature captured that essence of godly wisdom. Here's a passage from Maimonides' Guide for the Perplexed in his introduction. He says, in terms of speaking about knowledge, imagine a golden apple overlaid with a filigree of silver. When seen at a distance or looked at superficially, it's mistaken for a silver apple. But when a keen-sighted person looks closely at the apple and looks between the filigree, what do they see? They see that the apple is gold. That was Maimonides' metaphor for the knowledge that he was going to reveal to his student. So when light is characterized in literature that comes from before the 17th century, including the Bible, it's far more than a convenience that keeps us from tripping over our dog at night. God leads the Israelites from Egypt with a pillar of light at night. There's no reference to what the source of that pillar is. It doesn't say there was a spotlight shining from the ground or a spotlight or a star shining from above. It just says it was a pillar of light. And it was likely understood as some divine essence, some power of God that was guiding them through the desert. We have Psalms. Adonai is my light and my salvation. God's miraculous emanations preserve one from death. Isaiah says, the people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned. God's incandescent protection for the prophet was palpable and real. On my talit, I have these words. Then it's from Isaiah. Then shall your light burst through like the dawn, and your healing spring up quickly. The belief of the prophet was that somehow God's illuminating radiance would save and heal people physically, not a metaphor, a physical transformation. Ki ner mitzvah v'torah or, says Proverbs. The commandment, the mitzvah, is a lamp. The teaching, Torah, is a light. So that word or, light, when it's used, is not just or from a Klieg light or a flashlight or a bulb. When we call Hanukkah Chag HaOrim, the festival of lights, it's not about those lights shining behind me. They're the symbol. It explains the Maccabees' victory over the Greeks. God's light gave them strength. God's light made their victory manifest. That's what ancients believed. It's the light of creation that empowers and enlightens. So by the time you get finished lighting your Chanukiah, the 8 days of Hanukkah, you'll have lit 44 candles. Take away the 8 shamashim, the one that's in the middle, 36. Not an accident. 2 times 18 chai, his life, 36, and twice 36 is 72, according to the mystics, the mystical names of God. So in those numbers, even for the lights, the ancients saw deep symbolism. So when the days of Hanukkah are complete and you've illuminated all 44, you get 45 in a box, just in case you break one. On that last day, when the collective light of 9 candles shines the brightest, and the light is reflected off the faces of those who gather around your Chanukiah, perhaps you might remember the blessing from the book of Numbers. It starts, Yivarecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, but it continues in the second line, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May the light of God's face shine on you and be gracious to you. We see it as a metaphor when we read it today. In antiquity, the light of God's face was healing and power and might and salvation and redemption. And if it shined on you, you received that light. The light of Hanukkah then was seen for thousands of years as truly the light of God, light of power, the light of redemption, the light of hope, not metaphorically or symbolically, but at its essential core. By that divine light, we see the light. It's a light that allows us to increase the luminescence of our intellects. It's a light that expands and glows in our own life force, that energizes us and enervates us. And it's the light of God that empowers us to be and to do and to hope and to live, and most importantly, to dream. Always, always to dream. Ken Hiratza.
As we think about the many different ways that light reflects and shines, as Rabbi Stern was talking about the gold, was thinking about the other places in our liturgy where gold comes up, and also thinking about how the United States was supposedly this land paved with gold. And so we hope that that light continues to be reflected in this country, and we pray for this country on page 258, the bottom. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. Amen. We continue with our prayer for our hostages, hoping and praying that this Shabbat is the last time we have to say this prayer.
Achenu, our brothers, Achenu,
Segev Kalfon.
Achotenu, our sisters, Achotenu,
Bar Cooperstein.
Achenu, our brothers, Achenu,
Naama Levy.
Achotenu, our sisters, Achotenu,
Or Levy.
wherever you are, whatever we must do, we are always, always there with you. We are with you, our brothers, Achenu. We are with you, our sisters, Achotenu. From the darkness to the light, from the darkness to the light, from the darkness to the light, make everything all right. From the darkness to the light, from the darkness to the light, from the darkness to the light, make everything all right. We are with you.
The word Kiddush doesn't mean light. It means holy. And those holy moments in our lives are marked by the things that give our lives meaning and substance. And we like to recognize that by asking some of you who might be celebrating some special moments in your lives to just stand up first so we can acknowledge them. So if you're observing a birthday or have observed a birthday this past week, would you be so kind as to, I'm not going to ask. Mazel, oh, that's good. Mazel tov. And coming up, of course. Timed it well. We want you to come up to do. Wait, you said so. I missed what you said.
I said I'm turning 80.
Nice.
Mazel tov.
Brian, you can tell us what are you turning? Not telling us. Anybody, stay up, don't sit down. Anybody observing an anniversary, perhaps, during this? Not many people get married before. Oh, you guys got married between Christmas and New Year's? Oh, that's...
Mazel tov.
Any other anniversaries or anything? Anybody else celebrating a birth of a child or a grandchild or any other cause for celebration? Happy to have your kids home. If you're happy to have your kids home, stand up, Ahars. There we go. Vihars, go ahead.
We're leaving for our honeymoon next week.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Honeymoon. All right.
Honeymoon.
So now we invite all of you to join and gather as we celebrate the light of... Oh, wow. Wow. All right. So, and all right, wonderful. And so if you're just happy to be alive and happy to be celebrating, I want to bring light into the room with your beautiful faces as that steady glowing light shines off your radiant faces as we say the Kiddush. It is on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav veratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemaaseh Bereshit Ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim Ki vanu vacharta liotanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabat lechayim. We turn to Aleinu. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol latet gedula leotzer bereshit shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chelkenu kahem vegor aleinu kechol hamonam va'anachnu korim umistachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamalachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar behaya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad ushemo Ushemo echad.
When we speak about the soul as having a certain light, I hope now you understand the way our ancient ancestors understood that light, that it was more than just about the energy we feel from a person or the love we feel, but something far deeper inside of them. And many of us even hold on to those beliefs as we think of our loved ones. And so when we ask that our loved ones always will be a blessing in our lives, what we hope is that their light and their feeling of their presence and their wisdom and their love always is felt in our hearts. If anyone is remembering the anniversary of a loved one, first of all, if you're in the first 30 days or the first month or the first year of mourning, I'd like to ask you to say the name of that person.
My neighbor of 40 years passed away Monday.
And then if you're observing a yard site, would you say the name of your loved one?
My mom, Amida.
My mother, Miriam Sheen. My husband, Ron, and my daughter, Lane.
May the memories of our loved ones be a lasting blessing. The Kaddish is on page 294. Yitgadal v'tkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
B'alma divrach eutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yamechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael. B'gala u'v'zman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mivarach Olam Olamei Almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'taleh v'hal k'meded kutsha b'richu leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'miran v'ama v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Before we conclude our service with Light One Candle, another one of those good Hanukkah songs,
classic.
we want to first and foremost thank you for being here. It is nothing more there's nothing more satisfying than looking out into a congregation of folks who are here to share and spread the light of Hanukkah and celebrate together. And we also recognize those who have worked behind the scenes to make this possible. First of all, literally the folks who are working behind me are musicians Kathy and Jeff. We appreciate you both so much. Also our tech team who make sure our sound works and our stream. Some of you, when you're not here, you watch our stream, our video stream, and you know that it is a high quality stream that's brought about through the work of Andre, Kenny, Brian, Brendan, and Roz. And we appreciate their work, and it makes a difference for all of us. And our sound person, Tyler, who's making sure that you can hear what we're saying. Good to see you back, Tyler. Welcome. So we appreciate all of you for helping to make this moment possible. We conclude, as I said, Light One Candle. It is in your books on page 367, And I say before we end, just Chag Sameach, Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah. We're going to do the first and third verses of this song. Light one candle for the Maccabee children. Give thanks that their light didn't die. Light one candle for the pain they endured when their right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. And light one candle for the wisdom to know when the peacemaker's time is at hand. Don't let the light go out. It's lasted for so many years, so many years. Don't let the light go out. Let it shine through our love and our tears. What is the memory that's valued so highly that we keep it alive in that flame? What's the commitment to those who have died when we cry out they've not died in vain? We have come this far, always believing that justice will somehow prevail. This is the burden, and this is the promise, and this is why we will not fail. Don't let the light go out. It's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out. Let it shine through our love and our tears. Don't let the light go out. Don't let the light go out. Don't let the light go out.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Happy Hanukkah.
Background, they leave.